Hey guys, Trello here. We are here with the first episode of Kommerce Kings. Whoa, that's pretty sweet. So here's the thing: is if you're listening to this on podcast, we're also going live on Facebook. We're going live on YouTube, so make sure you're catching up with those social platforms as well. But I want to welcome you to the first episode of Kommerce Kings, where you guys are learning all the cool little nifty tricks that other guys are doing, that we're doing, and what's working now here in the e-commerce world of ours. So first episode, I want to welcome James Friel to the episode. Go ahead, say hello, James, and we'll rock and roll today.
What's up, Trey? What's up, everybody else? Great to be here. Excited to be here on the inaugural episode of Kommerce Kings.
I'm excited to be doing it too, man. I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be sweet. I want to be in the back eating popcorn. So here's the deal. Here's how we're gonna rock this. I wanted to make it to where, like, you and I are sitting coach. We're on a flight maybe to New York. And I sit down in my seat, I look at you, and I'm like, oh, this guy looks cool. Like, what's up? And saying hi to you and be like, James, tell me a little bit more about what you do. And then we're going to pull some nuggets out. And hopefully once we get done off the plane, we'll have some action items to have in our basket. So does that make sense?
Yeah, awesome. But first, I think we should upgrade ourselves to first class. So
what
that
did
we're
I
not.
Did I say business?
You said coach.
Oh, I said coach. We were totally not in coach. We're in first class. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, good. All right, now I'm in the right frame of mind. I feel like I can stretch my legs. We can actually have
somebody.
Yeah, no. So first of all, it's great to be here. And just for everybody who's not familiar with me and what I do, I run a program called Autopilot Entrepreneur, and basically we help busy entrepreneurs get out of the day-to-day operations of their business so they can focus on what's important, like working on their business, spending time doing things that they love with their friends and family, and putting systems in place that enable them to do that.
Kind of why they became an entrepreneur.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, everybody gets into it and they're like, man, I'm going to become an entrepreneur. I have so much time. And then they don't. And they're like, holy shit, maybe this is a bad idea.
All right. So there's always stages, right? So it's like, I want to quit my job because people think their jobs are secure when they're definitely not. Right. You can be fired any day, but then they go into an entrepreneurial spirit, which we've all done. And then they feel like, okay, I'm working, 80 hours to replace a 40-hour job. True story. And then once we're in that, then it's like, how do I dig myself out of this hole? And that's what you're here to help us with.
Right.
So that's really cool that you do that. How do you make that happen? How is that even possible?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I didn't set out to do this. I set out to run a marketing agency, and soon was one of those people who was stuck in my business and felt really trapped. And I was like, holy shit, like, this isn't what I signed up for. How on earth did this happen? But more importantly, how can I get out of this? How can I get the freedom and leverage that I really want? Because there was no way I was going back to my job. Like, that was like I burned that ship. Like, there was, not that I left off on bad terms. I was just like, I'm never going back to doing that. So the only way is forward. Okay. And so out of my own, frustration of, working 70 and 80 hours a week and trying to keep everything together and manage everything, I finally, at some point after, I think, firing my 7th operations person, I was like, I got to figure this out. Like, I've had enough of this. And so I really, I'm a systems guy, and put my head down and figured out a way to make it happen. So, a lot of this came from my own pain and frustration. And then the truth is, Trey, like, I didn't even know that I was going to help other people do this. I just thought, okay, cool. Now I've got a better system in my company, and I'm just going to run things more effectively. And I went from working, 70 hours a week down to like just a little over 20, 25 hours after I figured out how to do all this. And my clients and other people, and one of the bigger people that you and I know very well, Russell Brunson, was like, dude, you got to do this for me. I feel like I need to get out of that chaos and that overwhelm. Yeah. And so I was like, oh, wow, there's a lot of other people just like I was who are stuck in the middle of all of that and need help. So, I mean, at the very beginning, it really comes down to, organizing the company and finding out, like, what are the key projects and what are the steps in those projects and who needs to be working on what and who's on the team. And it doesn't matter whether, and it's even more important when you're a small guy with just you and a couple people,
Yep.
Because that's when your time and resources are even more precious, and so, from smaller companies to bigger companies, the very first thing that has to happen is getting your hands around what exactly are we working on right now? Who's on our team? Inside, outside, virtual, local, it doesn't matter. And organizing things in a way that keeps everything straight. Like that's always the first step.
All right. So how do you do that? How does this even begin? So, I think you're talking about SOPs, by saying, okay,
SOPs sort of come a little bit later.
Okay.
But for example, so in the e-commerce world, right? Because we've worked with plenty of e-commerce companies, and in the e-commerce world, you've got different things that are happening on a regular basis, right? You're building funnels.
Yep.
Right. So you got funnels that you're building. You've got new offers that you're trying to create.
Yep.
And you've got
Facebook ads.
Totally. So you've got your marketing and your ads and all those things going on.
Shipping.
You've got sourcing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where are we getting our products? You've got shipping, like you're talking about, right? So you start taking a look at the company and you say, all right, what are the big logical categories that everything breaks up into? And this way, at least we've got this basic structure set up on how to think about things and where things go.
Yep.
Right.
Okay. So are we saying okay, I got my social platforms, I have my funnel platform, I have maybe my new offers and sourcing. So that might be one brick. And I'm thinking bricks, right? Or are you saying something different? Yeah,
bricks are totally great analogy, because that's what we're doing, right? You're building an empire, and that does happen one brick at a time.
Absolutely.
But if your bricks are thrown all over the place, guess what's not going to happen? You're not going to build an empire.
Well, yeah, there's no foundation, there's no structure, right? Because it's like when the bricks arrive, they're all on a pallet, all mixed and jangled, and it's going to build something beautiful, but they have to be laid by a bricklayer perfectly and effectively. And I think that's maybe you could call yourself the bricklayer master, the master bricklayer.
Yeah. I like to think of myself more as the architect and put the bricks in place, but I'll consider master bricklayer.
Okay. So we have two people, and let's say the CEO, right? So let's say I have myself, who I've done everything, right? I've done all the bricks for me, Facebook, funnels, sourcing, shipping, phone calls, customer service. You have all that too. And maybe I have two people working for me. So how do I start to delegate that out to realistically take, that just sounds so bizarre to me to not even work on my business or work in my business versus on my business. Yeah. And so how does that even begin? When you first come into a company, how do you start saying what polls are you pulling? What buttons are you pushing? Give me that breakdown.
Yeah, absolutely. And just real quickly before we get into that, I know that a lot of entrepreneurs experience a level of anxiety when we talk about delegating.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. Right? Because people are afraid of, oh my God, maybe it's not going to get done the right way. Maybe it's going to slip through the cracks. I don't know if I can trust this person. And anytime there's a level where you don't have confidence that the thing you're going to ask somebody else to do to get done, you're going to have that anxiety. And overcoming that is absolutely critical. So one of the things, just to take a really quick step back, is everybody needs to recognize the importance of what we're talking about here, right? We're not just talking about some tactics and things like that. We're actually saying that in order for your business to grow past a certain size, you must be able to get things off of your plate and delegate them to other people. And the analogy that I use to really drive this point home for people is imagine today you decided for some crazy reason, I'm not going to run my funnels anymore. I'm not going to run my company. You ditch the call center, all of your operations. I'm going to go spend my day working as a cashier at McDonald's, right? Now, I don't know exactly what they make, but let's just assume it's $10 an hour, right? Mm-hmm. And, you're a super successful entrepreneur, so you're making $1,000 or $10,000 an hour for every day you're running your company. But you get this crazy idea. You're like, man, I just want to take people's orders for French fries and Happy Meals and all these other things, and I really want to wear that little visor that they give me. And so you go and you say to Bryceland, hey man, you man the ship. I'm going to McDonald's today. Mm-hmm. You go there, you work 10 hours, $10 an hour. At the end of the day, they give you $100. And and my question is, how much did you actually make that day? Like, did you make $100? Or if you're making $1,000 an hour, did you actually lose $9,900? Yeah. And the truth is, you lost $9,900, even though the cash you received was $100. And what I see entrepreneurs everywhere doing, especially in the e-commerce space, is choosing to be the cashier in their own business. Mm-hmm. And that's not going to work. Like, your business will not grow past a certain point. So just to kind of drive that point home, you don't hire people and pay them for their time as much as you buy back your own time. Right?
There you go.
Right. And that's why this is so important to understand, because until you get that, you're going to be really hesitant to even invest the time and energy in learning how to delegate things properly. Yeah. Because you're kind of used to just putting on that McDonald's cashier advisor, which when you say it like that is completely ridiculous, but people do it every day. Even in big companies, even very successful entrepreneurs do that.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm going to pull you over to the other side. So tell me, like, okay, now we have all this. We understand, like, I don't want to be the cashier. People are like, yes, I understand that. Yeah. So what are the first steps to starting to pull out your company and kind of bundle them back together? Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just say that the two people you hired, one of them is, your right-hand man or girl / assistant, and the other person is more of a specialist. Maybe they're a specialist building funnels. Maybe they're a specialist at, whatever the topic happens to be.
Okay.
One of the things that we find to be most helpful is actually listing out the steps that are needed are required to complete something. So let's take a product design example, because we worked with an e-commerce company where he had a team of designers, and they were creating designs for t-shirts and hats and mugs and like all sorts of different products and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And every time they had a new design, he had to go in and he had to look at it, and he's like, no, go back and do these revisions or go back and check this. And the whole process was just very, very cumbersome and very, very clumsy, and it involved way too much of his time. So what we did was we sat down together and we said, okay, let's look at the different stages that this design needs to go through, right? First, there's the initial concepts, and then we're going to come up with the actual visual designs, and then we're going to apply that to different products. And we literally created these stages and checklists of specific tasks that had to happen at each stage. And once that was created, he was able to take that and turn it into a very repeatable process, because now his design team said, oh, okay, this is the first stage, and here's all the different tasks that I need to do at that first stage. And then he didn't become involved until it was time for him to do that. So it was very predictable, and he started wasting a lot less of his time and getting way more out of his design team.
So give me like, I'm assuming there's check boxes inside each stage. So did you set this up in Excel? Was it where it's Zendesk? How does like the paper shuffling work? Is it paper?
Yeah.
Is it non-paper?
No, we set up these systems most of the time using a software tool called Trello, which is super simple to use. And we basically create cards that are templates for getting tasks done, and each one of those templates has specific checklists. And I encourage people to do it that way because I've been involved in processes and systems for a really long time, and a lot of people will create standard operating procedures, right? So I think that was one of the things you mentioned a few minutes ago. Mm-hmm. And what a standard operating procedure is definitely better than having nothing, right? It creates a level of order and organization, but it's still, even if it's a Google Drive document or a Word document or something, it's still just steps listed out. And my problem with that is I don't actually know if people followed those steps.
Yeah.
I hope that they did, but I don't know for sure. And so when we build these things out in Trello, it enables us to have accountability for those steps. So I can see whether people are checking off those check marks. And then I can get status reporting on where are we in this process, right? It's one thing to, be designing, have one design going. It's another thing entirely to be managing, 10, 15, 20 designs simultaneously.
Yeah.
And need to know, well, where are we in this whole process with each one of these designs that we're creating?
Okay. So let's take that a big picture then. So how much is Trello? How much does that cost?
Trello is free. That's the best part about this.
All right. It's Trello.com?
Yep. Trello.com.
All right. So apparently you can't have an affiliate link for Trello because
I wish. Dude, if there was an affiliate link for Trello, I'd be making bank off of my affiliate commissions.
That'd be awesome. Okay. So we have Trello. So how does, can you give me 30,000 foot view of Trello?
Yeah. Trello is a super simple tool. And that's why I think it's really effective for creating these processes and systems inside of a company. But basically, there's only a couple things you need to know about Trello. One, you have these things called boards.
Okay.
And a board is, for the things that we were talking about earlier, your funnel, you might have a board for all the funnels that you're creating.
Okay, one board, all my funnels are inside this board.
Yeah, potentially.
Okay.
Especially if you're on the smaller side. And so you have boards. And then on the boards, there's different lists.
Okay.
And on the lists, there's cards. And the cards are like the smallest unit of task. Okay. So, you would have a card for particular design, right? So, you guys are in the gun niche and doing things with, survival and all that sort of stuff. So if you had a new design that you're creating for a t-shirt for that audience or some other product or something, that would be a card. And it's like, okay, create the design for this. And then everything related to that would be contained within that card, which makes it really nice because now there's not emails flying back and forth. We're not, creating chaos with text messages and Skype and boxes and all these other forms of communication.
Yeah.
Everything related to that design is right there on that one card. And so nobody has to go, looking all over God's green earth to find out what's up.
All right. So let's dive into that more. Let's get that deeper. So we have a board. It's called funnels. So let's just say inside that board is, out of all the funnels, one funnel that's going to be a t-shirt funnel.
Yep.
So then so one card is a task is what it sounds like you're saying.
Yeah.
Like a card is okay, design the t-shirt, make and then launch t-shirt, and then of course build the t-shirt funnel, and then launch t-shirt funnel, and then ship t-shirt is what I would probably have as cards, right?
Yep.
So then what would the list be?
So there's different lists that we use. And sometimes it's one of these, it depends, but I'll give you the standard answer, and then, people would need to modify it based on this. But there's only a couple of things that you need to understand in order to make this work. And the list would be, I want to see everything that's not started, right? Okay. So that's one of the things that I want to see. Then I want to be able to see all the different stages that are in progress. So for this design situation, we could be, initial designs are created. Then it could be designs require, needing to be reviewed. Okay. And so, sometimes it makes sense where you only need one list that captures all of the things that are in progress. Yeah. But if it's more of a stage, things move through stages, and you'd probably want to have a few different lists that were specific for the particular stages that things need to go through.
Okay. That's pretty sweet.
It's incredibly sweet because then I can open up a board and visually I can see everything that's in each one of those stages. There's no guesswork, right? So I want to have those things in place. Then I also want to know what we've completed, right? It's important to know, what did we get finished? Okay. And also what are our future actions that we're planning on working on, but we're not currently doing anything with right now. Because I also find that entrepreneurs are really good at creating new work and coming up with new ideas. And yes. Especially you guys in the e-commerce space, you guys are the mad scientists of creating new stuff. Yes. And if you don't have a place to capture all of those ideas, yes. then it becomes dangerous for two reasons. One, you could forget about it, and you might have a potentially 6 or 7 figure idea, and you don't want to forget about that, obviously.
Right.
Or if you're so afraid you're going to forget about it, you might just start working on it immediately, which means that everything else that was already in progress sort of gets pushed off to the side, and that creates another level of chaos. So
it's huge.
Yeah, it's a total mess if it happens like that.
So let's do something like really cool, because I didn't even now that we're doing this, now that we're into this, I have an idea. So what I want to do is I want to Trello board on this chalkboard real quick.
All right, do it. That's cool.
So I think
yeah.
So this was totally unrehearsed because I'm not prepared to do it, but we're gonna make it happen. So I'm gonna grab this camera, and then we're gonna let's see, is that making sure it's showing the right? Yes, it is. Okay, making sure it's showing the right thing. So here's what we're gonna do: is I'm gonna rock this camera.
We're going in.
We're totally going in.
Yeah,
hot. That's how we work things. So okay, so while I'm getting this camera ready to rock and roll, because we're gonna make this really cool. Tell me more about this.
Well, I'll tell you a cool case study example from an e-commerce guy.
Give me that.
So he was already running a successful business. He was doing multiple 6 figures, and he was probably running it for like a year, I guess. His e-commerce thing, and he was selling t-shirts and mugs and all the things that we talked about. And when he came to us, he was working like 80 hours a week, which I don't think anybody really wants to work 80 hours a week, but you do it when you're committed and you want to make shit happen, right? And so anyway, we went through a process, and you and I are probably going to go through a very similar process right now, where we redesigned and we reorganized all of his things and got his whole system built in Trello. And two really cool things happened. The first was, within 2 weeks, he reduced his amount of time that he needed to work in his business by 20 hours a week, which is massive, right? Going from 80 hours down to 60 hours. And that was just within the first 2 weeks. And he was a smart guy. So he said, okay, cool. Now I've got some extra time back from all this, sort of all the weeds that I was stuck in. What am I going to do now? And so he invested his energy in refining his processes with his design team. And within 6 weeks, because he was able to focus on working on his business and not in his business, he actually quadrupled his sales. So people sometimes will underestimate the importance of getting systems and organizing things, because quite honestly, it's not necessarily as sexy as, hey, I'm getting new leads and I'm, making new sales and creating new designs and stuff. Right. But it's the infrastructure and the pipes that lets everything flow in a much more free and, normal, way that it wants to, without all these roadblocks and bottlenecks happening.
That's huge. So you can hear me just fine?
Yeah, I can hear you great. Okay.
So we got the Trello board up. We're rocking this. And so this is going to be like one board. So we would call this board maybe like funnels.
Yeah. So let's just say this is a funnel board. All right. And let's take a funnel that,
lists.
We could do funnels. I think it might be cooler if we showed people like what different stages in a design process might be.
Okay. Let's do that. So like a t-shirt?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. And that's kind of cool. We'll do a throwback to how you got started.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
We'll do shirts.
Yeah.
So then in Trello, so we have this board. Obviously, this is full. And then you said we need lists.
Yep.
So you said not started, right?
Not started. Yeah, exactly.
And then what happened?
So, okay, so let's talk about the process of designing and getting a t-shirt live.
You guys can see that. Okay.
All right. So the first thing is that we need to create an initial design of some kind, right?
And that's a card, or is that this list?
That's going to be the list. So I want to set up the lists before I add any cards to it, so that we have a clear understanding of the different stages that this t-shirt needs to go through before we're selling it on our own funnels or Teespring or like one of those things.
Sure. Okay. So what do I need here then?
So let's build the list straight across first, and then we'll talk about the cards.
What's my first one?
Okay, so your first one's not started. Exactly. The second one is I would guess something about, create initial designs created or creating initial designs. That's what I think would make sense to a lot of people.
Okay, I'll do create designs.
Right, because we want a place for all of our cards to go while we're in the process of creating those initial designs. Okay. Now, after those designs are created, somebody has to sign off on them, right? Like who's going to say, whether they're good, they're not good, or whatever. So maybe that's designs waiting for review.
Okay, so we'll just put review.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then how many more? 2?
Yeah, I'd say we need 2 more. We might need a design revision, revising designs.
So revisions and then completed?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I want to show them like how this doesn't get convoluted, how it's actually pretty well stated out. So we have our board. So in this case, this is our t-shirt board. Like this is all of our t-shirts that are going to come through our designs. And then we have not started. So this is where the CEO has an epiphany. He's like, okay, I want to do a design on guns. So let's do it. Let's do a shirt on guns.
Yeah.
So this is not started though, right?
Yeah. So there's one, and I think you're out of Blackboard space, so I'm not going to add another list, but let's just say for argument's sake, I want to have a place where all of my other ideas that we're not ready to work on will go. So we'll just say off to the right, if people can imagine in their minds, there's a column all the way over to the right that says future designs.
Okay. Future.
Yeah, exactly. So the ones that we're going to work on right now will be in not started.
Okay. Perfect. We'll call that future designs infinity.
Dude, I love it.
So, all right. So not started. So then we have the infinity board. That's, hey, these are kind of things going out. And then what is going to be like, these are where cards are. So if we look at like maybe this chalk box as cards, because what you're going to do is we're going to take one card and then we're going to move it as the progress is completed.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And it becomes so easy for people to do this because with Trello, it's just drag and drop.
Oh, nice.
Right. So, and the mobile app is really great. So you can even, keep track of what's going on your phone. And so, using that chalk box, let's say that chalk box right now is, create new gun design t-shirt, right? Okay. Or create new design for, whatever the particular thing happens to be. Yeah. And now I'm the designer and I say, okay, cool. I'm going to move that to creating design as soon as I start working on it. So we literally drag that to the next list just like that. And my designer's working on it. And when I go into that Trello board, I know where everything is. Like I know that particular chalk box, which is our card right now, we're creating that design. And as soon as the designer has it finished and he wants my feedback on it, guess what he does? Exactly. He drags it for review. And every time I log into this board, I'm going to see everything that's there waiting for me to look at it. Okay. Which makes it way easier for me to stay on top of all the things that are requiring decisions from me as opposed to, going back using email or any other sort of clunky communication. And let's say in this case, there's some changes and there's some revisions that I want to make. Yeah. We'd literally just drag it to the revisions column. I would tell him in the card, like I'm actually making comments on the card, what I want revised, what I want changed, or blah, blah, blah. Or when it's in review, maybe it was good enough. And that's cool. And in that case, we would just move it straight from review to completed. And it would go, we would take it to wherever it needs to go after that, whether it's going to, go, that image is going to go onto a funnel somewhere. It's going to go into a Teespring campaign or whatever it's going to be. So this structure set up right here allows people to just systematically move ideas across the business in a really, really fast and efficient way.
Okay, so let's look at this then. So now, so it doesn't get convoluted, we have two chalk. I just happen to have two chalkboard.
Look at you.
So as this is kind of moving, like this is color chalk box, this is white chalk box. Maybe it's two different T-shirts.
Yep.
And so this one moves into create designs. This one's still not started. This one moves over to review, as this one might go into create designs. Review, this one's good to go. This one doesn't need no revisions. This moves to completed. Create designs moves to revisions, goes to review, and then goes to completed.
Exactly.
These chalk boxes are moving throughout. Okay, so then what's in a chalk box? Like there has to be a ton of stuff that's in these chalk boxes.
Yeah,
like,
that's
all the data's in there, right?
That's right. So let's unpack that a little bit. So the first thing that's there is we have a description that's actually telling people what that is. So it's create T-shirt design for ILMG, for I Love My Guns.
Uh-huh.
And maybe it's some I don't know, whatever concept it would be. And so there's a description in there. The other thing that you can put in there are attachments. So as soon as the design is created, I can literally upload the image file straight to that card, so that everything related to that card is contained. It's like its own little universe, and everything that I need to know is in there. What else is in there is all of the comments. So if I go in,
feedback.
Yeah, exactly. So this is, great when, I have that in the review column, because I can literally just open up that card and I can type the comments straight in there. And this way nothing ever gets lost. So it's really clear. Okay, I just took a look at the attached image file. Mm-hmm. And here are the changes that I'd like you to make.
Okay.
Right. And it's really easy for me to go in and do that. And then it's also really easy for anybody else who wants to get some context or needs to collaborate. They can go in and see all of the history and the dialogue that has already happened. So they don't need to be like brought up to speed. They can just do that on their own.
Wow, that's huge. Okay, so they're communicating, they're putting in attachments, description, and anything else?
Yeah, there's a handful of other things that can be done that are really cool. Like you can assign people to these cards so that you can be clear on who is the responsible person for actually getting this done. Okay. So that's super important for you as the business owner, and the CEO or whoever's managing this operation to know and understand that. Then to sort of get a little bit granular, sometimes it makes sense to have checklists, right? And we talked a little bit about checklists earlier on, but I have the ability to add like literally step-by-step checklists inside each one of these cards. So for example, if I know that we're doing the same 10 things every time we design something, then I'm going to have a checklist there, so it's easier for my designer and easier for my people to make sure that they're following the process exactly the way that I want them to.
Holy smokes. That's amazing. So now that we can, so this is all confined into one card versus Skype's, Slack, chats, Voxers, email addresses. Like I can't tell you how many times that I'm like, I know I sent you an attachment, but I don't know if I texted it to you, Skyped it to you, Facebook messaged it to you, or Slacked it to you. So now I got to find 4 channels.
Yeah.
Now I'm just like, oh, it's in the Trello.
Yeah.
So now I can rock over to Trello. I'll be like, yes, it's in that card. I know exactly where it is. It's in what we're doing, right? It's in considering the shirts. It's card description, like this is the gun T-shirt XYZ. Here's the attachments. Here's everything that's going on, the conversations and where it's at. And then how do people know who's assigned to what? Like, how does that all work?
Well, that's where you can add. So that's why the assignments happen. You just literally add a person, and as long as that person is on your team, then you can just add them to that card. Okay.
And so multiple people can be assigned to a card, and I'm assuming they get notifications and
they get notifications. Absolutely. And so this way they know there's a place in Trello where they can go and look at all of the different things that are assigned to me. Okay. So I can go and see that. And this way it's really, really easy for them to be clear on what do I have on my plate. And it's also really clear for you as a business owner to know, okay, well, who's working on what to help me get everything done.
Okay, so these are all notifications that are coming in as well.
Yeah.
And which card is being pushed where, if they're assigned to that card or whatnot.
Yeah, and then we get really nerdy about this stuff, and so
people are probably geeking out about this right now. If you guys are just watching the podcast right now, you need to go check out the Facebook Live videos, because we've done a lot of stuff on this chalkboard, which really have taken the dynamics of what James is talking about here and put it into writing, really, or what would you say, like images?
Yeah, just a visual that people
absolutely.
can see. But one of the cool things that you can do when you get a little bit more advanced is you can actually connect Trello with Slack, which is another tool that we really like. And basically, like I have almost the equivalent of a Facebook news feed of everything that's going on in my business, and I can just scroll through that, because we're pulling all of that data from Trello right into Slack, and I can like literally scroll and I can see, okay, cool. This design or this card, just moved from designs, creating designs to review. Like this one moved to completed. And so in just, minutes, I can have a clear understanding of absolutely everything that's going on in an entire company, real time. And it's amazing.
That's amazing right there. Let me make sure this camera got the full aspect here, and then we're gonna close here with Kommerce Kings. But holy smokes, what an amazing thing Friel just walked us through, James, here. That's amazing. Like, doesn't that feel good? Does that not feel good to you, man? Like the stuff that you've come up with and what you're showing everybody here. Like it's absolutely insane.
It's really cool. And and like I said, when I started working on this, it was really to save myself and save my sanity from all the chaos that happens when you don't have everything structured and organized and packaged up like this.
Yeah, it's huge.
And now I get really excited when I see other people be able to reclaim their time and get back their freedom, because like no entrepreneur that I know wants to be like thinking and managing these details. Everybody I know wants to be creating the next idea.
Right.
They want to be, working on their offers, building relationships, creating a vision for their company. Yep. Not like calling up people and scrambling and searching for like, where did we put that attachment? Like that is not the best use of anybody's time. And so, it's super exciting. And then the upside of this is no matter where I go, the people that I've helped are so excited. People usually buy me dinner, and I like that.
That's huge. So how do people get a hold of you? Like, how do you even find a James?
Yeah. So I actually have a free resource that could be helpful for whoever's listening to this.
Okay.
And it's how to turn your executive assistant into an operations rock star to help you scale your business.
Okay.
And they can get that if they just go to cheatsheet.jamespfriel.com. And people are going to screw up my last name because they have my whole life. So I'll spell it out. It's jamespfriel.com. So cheatsheet.jamespfriel.com. And they can opt in, they can get that. And that will give them a sense of how they can really start taking advantage of their assistant or somebody else on their team to help them run this system. Because entrepreneurs don't need another job to do. Like we have more than enough. And so having this structure in place, but having somebody else run it for you, creates a tremendous sense of freedom. And that's been really cool and helpful.
So basically, the plane's landing, right? We're on our descent now. Basically, real quick, how long would it take? Like, I love this, right? This is huge. This is amazing. But holy smokes, like, can I implement this? How long will it take for my team to be like, believe me, that this is going to work? One, I think they should watch this video. But two, how like, what's it look like to implement something like this?
Yeah. So obviously we've gotten pretty good at it. We've gotten, we can organize and systemize an entire company in 3 hours or less. Like that's where we're at. But we've done it a lot, right? And so that's obviously helpful. If somebody else is going to do this on their own, I think we've given people a tremendous framework and structure today that they can take these things and they can go and do it. It doesn't have to take forever. So I don't know. Like for me, when I was trying to create this to begin with, like it took me 9 months, which nobody has time for that.
Yeah.
But now we've really shortened that down so that people can get the results faster and just not have to worry about it.
I'd say you went from 9 months to 3 hours. That's pretty quick.
I'd say that's a pretty good optimization.
That's figuring out how to go to the speed of light. Like, we hit it. We did it.
Yeah.
So that's huge. All right. Well, hey guys, if you haven't, that was big, right? That was huge. What a freaking amazing first episode of Kommerce Kings here live, ready to rock for you guys. Thanks for listening in. Thank you, Mr. James Friel, for hanging out with us and giving us knowledge bombs that, like I said, take away and go implement in our business to stop, being in the business and being on the business. And that is Definitely. The big key that we learned here. So again, thank you, James, for taking your time today. And I appreciate you, as you know, and awesome. I will see you guys on the next episode of Kommerce Kings. See you later.
Later, you guys.